Enslaved. It's just another thing that you're into. What if you can do something different? How would that sound to you? Could you hear me at all? Or is your hearing impaired? Is it in two or is it impaired? How would I find out for no refunds to be given for the wicked? Starve those by the wick, for the government, for the weak, wick, the candlelight for the gods, illumination for the darkness and Illuminati for the NATO, for the bring peace on earth like a mouse and took rest crops and crying the fields of patience. Pat nine devils for the shit and been repentant, for the repeated enough for the corporate food who didn't cooperate, for the real truth, for the Yahweh used that for the third eye to realize and all the drums and clones and materialize for the shepherd, the closing the naked truth of the garden that drive the truth to find the rivers, the baptized that wash like deterrent for the washing you with the tide in detriment and determined enough for the faith for the infantry for the brainwashing sheep, fantasize belittling for the shepherds of that sham that lamb, the valley for the death for the synth that cats that Lucifer for the most Mars, Luciferians and Martians to clip those wings in the Mars, fly by and sweat, swat that for the moment for the Wall Street, occupy the American pies, diabetes for the biblical instructions. You can find that chapter for the chastisement and opposition for the wars and spirits. That you can hear that battle cry for the Christ, for the crusader, for the crucified, for the standoff in the lines and capitalize those letters for the pride, for the Uncle Sam to the Sumerian tablets and 10 commandments and patriarchy for the art for the archives. Those who aren't concerned for the contractions, not for the longevity of the art, for the encourage that for the enterprise and charge to attract divine and enter their surplus or surplus of the serpent, or the oblivious for those who live with the obsolete souls, from the shoes for the soul, for the being deprived of the earth from and the energy for the marginalizing of the allies and relying. Lie low for the ants and the hills and the ant farms and the pharmaceuticals of the fat farm. Russell Simmons and the Def Jam, Def Comedy for the media, the medians, middle ground for the midnight to the makeover for the seas of the staff and Moses to the mountains and maintaining the handlines and marks and tally marks left behind those abusing relationships, sinking to the integrity, intelligence and agenda for the jilling oppressive value, irony for the icons that patched up at time for the pollination, the political for the ground backgrounds and backgrounds for the grievances, inevitably with any evil doings and ability for the enable that senator or senators or that for the informer for the abnormal for the desert watcher to the benefit for the exactly example for the example the amplified and the implication for the complete tectonic for the plates underground for the undergarments and the organ that's the genocide even though for the appetite for the vein and reliability for the realliance the pride and death for the parades and those who find the pole raised around that radical sunken relationship with the shield rise again for the opinions tears and cries to create that courage to the rage against the machines and the defense in the campaign that hurt inside and spite that spite for the springs and river to dry that chalk outline to the dead bodies to sidewalk to the holograms scales to wait that coming in the Christ anticipate for the constitute for the constant control the change refrain to immortalize note the words and transcribe scribble the scraps and draft scrapping by for the bystander for the standing by for the bipolar for the barely rate radish relief these turned over for the leftists and the leftovers and all the levels for the prize and insight for the inside the sliding and slides and that's to be slid enough for the titan for the tidy knitted for the noted to the notarized and arrived at for the rising Sabbath day for the sin subordinate for the subordinate for the subject for the substitute for the submission and bliss and the intervention venting on the vengeance and Venus and next and nose and news to find the time and nosy enough for the privacy advocate for the vocation of vocalist and imitate that and limitation for the limelight for the lakeside for the limelight obtuse and usual options and operating opera are opposing to the opposite for the opponent for the it must be upon the faith for the meeting defeat and metal meters are made in masquerade for the male masquerade and mask that or who's defying those rights for the measurement for the manipulate this soon enough for the mirror to make her to meet to him missing play for the shaking of the quake for the fate to the fake to take for the opportunity to rake those leaves and rakes and snakes and sneaking instead of the with the lattes and lay inside the layers and layer early on later on in the area slipped out of that but it was all granola enough you can see it. Enslaved. Especially you, some probably singing her head. It wasn't her boyfriend, it was her husband instead. I just wanted to be loved, those without the light. Have that for nothing, find all over again. I'm gonna let it shine that light for the temptation and no temporary attempts and permanent voice fulfilled for the obliteration for the holding on to the truth and the sense of your father for the shaking the purple off of the purpose and the pain for the color that to bring the new year like a prince. Destined to be the Phoenix and sun into the cloudy beginning for the seeds of the millennial summer to pour out for privilege and poor. That which it makes the grass greener for the other side for the who's to blame and that's for some depth for the be anything for the night the futile actions observe for the consequences for the righteous and straight facing the wind that long and crooked arc crop pop crack addicted for the number of the digital numbers and addresses to remember to play for the winning numbers the winning number you were there for the cut that numbing of the enabling of super lotto. Superstitious to cross over the bridge with stitches and materials and narcissism. You need to repair your statues, trashes over the face value for the rub one over against another wall for the person traveling over the garden over your food for thought for not to be considered for the healthy lifestyle the way to live until you die. Wait till your waistline to fit the suit for the suit for the room to fit the norm of the revenge has no coordination with the fabrics in the life. Placed out of magazines and a consignment for the consumers and co-ops and scraps and patches for the walkway gown and dress down for the concepts for the teasing no press that whatever the shopping or whose imaginative minds justifiable who was shopping for the justice who knows the place in the 99% market for the Wall Street. Just another thing for the infant anthem for the heaven the sin for the innocent payback for the reminiscent for the paybacks like a pursuit having pack beam sending you battery in for her shit. I don't wanna do that in these shits system up for everything. Understand the dirty out way as the light shines to me. Allow the darkness up enough for the people with it. Come with them for the who else can have that for the feeling with it. You can have the sun rays and pray for it until the soul to define the starvation. Allow the communion for the daily bread for the embodied for the feeding the hunger and needs to be fed up for the federations and the adoration for the confederate and the completely compensated for the Satan star that died and dead. So you got how you suffer the last supper eaten for that for them for forgiven for the gave for forgotten for the beginning for the revelation to refill the pages of the Genesis. Emphasis of generations and ration rations of body for the water the fish out of the bacon for the never forsaken no stakes and out and now never taken. Now it's not a vain for the blood of the lamb, but the cleanness from the Satan, the hating, the hand, and the heaven, the heaven, the worship, but the never the sinking, the countertops, and dish out that's insinuated for the living, and for the distracting, for the elevating. 11 and genetically is sacred for the constipated for the constitution, the bill of rights, and what's the third eyesight, and senses of the infinite dimensions, and never the dim depth of the constellation, and illumination, the foresight, forgiveness for forgave, and past tense of those born again, and no. What we newborns and what the occupation that occupies the heaven gates like the Bill Gates at the windows of his faith for the computer for the complication, the implied, the implicate representative for the donated for the replication of the reply, the screwdriver for the nail, the gods and doves, the duel, the carpenters and unions, the sun, love, the unison for the unity of the robes and white doves, double rainbows that eye the storm for the tormented for the tornadoes and age of the nose, over knows when Hamid speaks the truth and no truth for the nose, anything for the about the but God has showed the truth to be revealing with the deceit that will be unveiling. Daniel's trumpet blows and jazz, music of what's good is enough for the talisman for the beast surely, understanding the seven seals and wonderful moon. Emotionally affect that for the ocean and Ifa believes that fever, river to the conundrum, to condemn all those dams and give it to the tree for the living for the savings from the stretching limbs and branches and inches and measures for the sure. Enduring the headlights and those adore, the ears, the vehicles of the frightened him, the spirit with no idea for the blinding, enslaving, the use of senses and not sinner for the enjoyment, for the meant to be joy, for the owner to fire that and unemployment for the political economy, for the biodiversity, the wedges and the hinderings of the Lord. Suffer the suffering and implode that for the unemployment, for the deployments and mass, man, plotting, robbing, environment, destruction, constructive, for contrast, and recovery, ecosystems and systemic for the oppression of open should look over the chairmen and charity, organization for the organ donors of the deprivation for the demons and demonstrator for the demonstration for the good. Democrats, this be the rats and can't understand, estimate the dyslexic czars, which manipulated for the humans and minds, mannequin, many times before for forefathers and then links to Abraham, free slaves when changes, suppressed conditions, and nations are all weak by the Romans imposed and weak.
Finding out the situations in life that eyes can't see or understand. Where you wanna go, for there's a light that shines deep inside of yourself, with the illuminates the darkness to take control. Which is just placed in order to embrace. That makes us completely for the universe to hold. Rhyming first, not to knowing where you're gonna go. Good word you come back to for the getting off of where you left that sound beginning. For the ending of the week, stars and gods that meet the weak. For the far out that can be strange enough. For the response to complete strangers as it responded in content. Containment of contention. For the contemplated, for the confidence that's been contorted. For the keys that have been ignored. For the truth, the lies, amnesty, generous marriage, turning cheats and reality checks. Cash just maintaining what somebody you're chasing has. Answer for the culture, for the bargaining. Chance to ask you to dance again. Should you call this year the song? Or do the cabbage patch looking to cherish those eyes and move over so gently for the pride? Pocket of the soul for the heart pinned up in your button up sleeves and the next to the weekend. For the couple of years experience of the sun and the rain, light and illuminated for the dance hall altogether coming in long. Moments a day, your time always been from. Beginning as she is my shadow for the breeze and oxygen too. Look for the dreams and joy for yourself, for the couldn't take away the life for the light meant to be enlightenment, for the excitement and love that can you heal, touch your spines and send you all tongue tied with the wash down and vast air for water toes and pain of nature, waterways, the goodbyes and good stays and good times and good days, for the good wine, for the good burn, for the little faded weight of into the darkness and where you exist and all that matters. You can make me a part of your love shining for the even the blind to see. Open the blinds and allow the lightning, whatever meant to always be. In the pursuit for the enlightenment, whether you are a son or you are, the love in your heart for the wisdom is right against you, the center of attraction. Unexpected charging your crystals in the distance and illuminating for the moon rocks, and you can find a complete harmony for the elements and the feeling of love for the feeling of falling for you, for the this to be the better feeling for the feeling of sleep, a dream again, a brand new flower of you. Have the branding for the partner that has that for the over to be stranger land discovered but has no ownership. Be lost with the light, a house to bring that shore for without the nature, for the lamp cycles, the mentally to medicine, for the neglection, for the young light, for the you could be divine, yeah, like Dixie and Black Oak City, and prime meridian for the this to be the moon sign equation, compromising the equators for the divided net for the list divine, and all over get the for nothing, over the remembering the connection of reflections and mirrors of the sunset provides an ignorant delay for just another expression for the questioning and the need that for the image of projected, unfortunately outside the changing how.
motema nakosenga na yo mama mpona nini ata makoli nakobanza yo limela ngai natia yo elembo na motema uta mokolo ya liboso ozalaka na maya mabe awa ngo adama mwana moke susi na ngai kaka yo adama soki amerika ezalaka pembeni nde tokutanaka na yo ata mbala moko na poso po tosala peti ya bongola yo motema nakosenga na yo mama mpona nini ata makoli nakobanza yo limela ngai bongola yo motema nakosenga na yo mama mpona nini ata makoli nakobanza